just a little bit of what this podcast is about. This podcast is a spin-off to the Creative Papi podcast. So I mentioned podcast. This is not actually a podcast. This is just like a video interview.
Creative Papi Chulo.
The Creative Papi Chulos. This is Sway Talks with Papi Chulos. So interviewing Papi Chulos. These are non-fathers, artists, people that I know and that I just like admire. And I love promoting people that are within my circle that I see that have a good, kind spirit. And dude, I'm glad that you're the first one.
Thank you.
I'll have you back once this thing evolves into what it's meant to be. Sway Talks with Papi Chulos is gonna be something hopefully more fun. It'll break the pattern of the podcast. I'm expecting more people. Maybe we'll go live. Maybe I'll be somewhere out in the open in a gym. Maybe we're podcasting and doing Muay Thai at the same time. I don't know. It could be anything. But it's definitely to highlight creative artists here in Miami, South Florida, and beyond. So sky's the limit, man. Michael Sanchez, everyone. Do you go by Mike? Mike Sanchez?
Michael J. Sanchez.
Michael J. Like Michael J. White.
Michael J. Fox, Michael J. White.
Like you're pretty active as well. Like you do sports. I saw you're doing what is it that you're doing? MMA, BJJ, Muay Thai.
I was doing Muay Thai for a little bit. I haven't been going as of late. Obviously, my girlfriend's still actively going. Her kicks are freaking super sharp. She can whip my ass any time of the day. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of mixed martial arts. That's another thing that's like my away from acting. I just like obsessed with. I'm a hardcore. I was a casual that turned into a hardcore MMA fan. That's like.
Oh, maybe that's everything. A new career for you.
Oh no.
MMA fighting.
No. I mean, maybe if I want to broadcast, like mess around there,
that'd be dope.
I wouldn't mind. But I ain't trying to. I'll go in the gym and I'll spar, but I ain't trying to fight with these young 20-year-olds. They'll fucking whip my ass.
Right, they'll make you tap out quick.
Oh my God! But it's a way to learn because you got to fail in the gym too in order to. That's another thing about mixed martial art that I like, that I correlate with acting.
Yeah.
Because those guys, they work hard every day, and. People think that those guys are hotheads or not. Those guys got a beautiful story. Like, if anything, I love MMA because of that. That's what intrigues me about MMA. It's not the violence. I know people see me share my story. They probably like, oh, this guy just likes fucking people getting physical. No, it's freaking art. And these guys that are like sacrificing everything to go into that cage. It's like, it's amazing.
Especially the ones that really buy into the philosophy of the martial arts that they're getting into. So, I mean, you see them like barbaric and they're animals and they're beasts, but...
Some of these guys are nerds that fight.
Some of these guys are like really cool dudes. Like they're in their zen, like...
Amazing.
Super chill guys.
Yeah, like, there was always people who had the idea that these guys are barbaric and all that. Some of these guys are like nerds that just could fight.
Right. I think they just got...
Some of them got picked on too. So that's why they ended up,
and similar story,
and now they know how to defend themselves. You don't mess with that guy in the street, stuff like that. One of my favorite fighters, George St. Pierre, beautiful.
Yeah, that guy's amazing.
That guy, I love freaking watching his interviews and his way of thinking, his workout videos. They're encouraging. I mean, I need to put that to oh, shout out to you, by the way, yo.
Why?
Hey, you guys got to see a picture of Sway. How he used to. This guy looks incredible. This guy, that's right. You're another one that came a long way with. Man.
I want to get back to. I've been curious of getting back to like BJJ. Mm-hmm. Not back to because I never started. I used to do judo. Mm-hmm. I want to get back into martial arts.
You were doing that.
I was doing judo.
Okay.
And along with like physical fitness, but then that was like a toll on my back, and I had to stop from a lot of things. But
it's a good skill set to have because you could put that on your resume, and then like if they need you for this type, do you have this experience?
You're like, I can choke you out.
Yeah, and that was another reason why I got into Muay Thai, and also because I like it. I respect the craft. I respect these fighters, man. Like they're just amazing to be around.
Have you seen the Idris Elba?
No, documentary. I've seen
pieces
of it, and I'm like, man, this guy's amazing because he wants to do everything. Yeah. Like Idris, he's in a mindset of like, I got to do everything.
I love
before
that guy.
I die. It's like a bucket list.
If you really look at my life, like, it's not that like I'm trying to replicate everything he does, but just coincidentally, everything that he does, like I'm doing as well. Yeah. He's not doing podcasting, obviously, but it's like, he loves martial arts. I kind of love martial arts. He does DJing. Like I love producing house music, and like he loves acting, and he's done also directing. So I'm like, guys, and now he is doing a podcast. He's doing a podcast with his wife.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
a lot of people are doing podcasts with their spouse.
Yeah, ever since I started, everybody wants to do it.
Exactly. You're just trying to be like Sway. So in a way, you got to be a little selfish. It's okay to be a little selfish, but then like you got to find a gray area.
Right. Yeah, that's why I always say the only person you need to surprise is yourself.
That's some of my problems. I sometimes I care about too much about what other people are thinking of me, and there's a reason for that. That's deeply rooted. Because like me, the way I grew up. So I was obviously, I'm from New York, from the Bronx. So I'm from a neighborhood where I used to ride the yellow bus, bro. Like, I don't know if you know what that is. I don't know if like
What was that? What was that?
So I wasn't like special education when I was a kid, and growing up from pre-K. Actually, I was in regular education, like kindergarten. But then after that, like I was going forward was in special education, and the reason for that was I used to have a lisp when I was a kid, and I used to be hyper. I'm still
Speech
hyper.
impediment.
Yeah, I used to have a speech impediment, and I was hyper. So they used to put me in what they call the bad kids class, but it was always like they had it under special ed. But I used to get made fun of all the time.
Wow.
And stuff like that. I used to get made fun of. I never had the quality of clothes. I didn't have swag. None of that. So like I don't know. I used to think people used to not think people used to like make fun of me all the time.
Oh, it happened.
Yeah, made fun of me all the time, saying I'm this, I'm that, I'm stupid. That I'm. So I have like a trauma with that. So eventually, I had to shift a couple things, and what you call I changed my style, the way I dressed, and then like I started getting attention from girls and whatnot, and I used to just get really underestimated. Like nobody thought I was capable of doing the things that I'm doing now, like that I'm trying to pursue. Like it's like unheard of.
Do you feel that you've gotten better at that?
What at not caring? Oh man, I mean, yes and no. I'm still working on it. I think I'm a lot better than I was. I mean, every day you're working towards a different level of something. But yeah, definitely. Like I just gotta stop. Like I gotta get over that. But like that I used to get into a lot of fights because of that. Because I used to defend myself. Because like. Dude, I used to wear high water pants. My mom couldn't afford like certain things, like, or like maybe she didn't care, like. And then like I had my older brother. He always had like swag because he used to like do his thing like in the streets. Like he was at a young age. He was always like a go getter, and I was always the mama's boy that stayed in the house. So for me, and I didn't care. I got to a point where I didn't care. I kind of adapted the personality of like, oh yeah, people gonna think I'm stupid. I'm gonna just play into it. But at the same time, it's like I was kind of hypocritical about it because I used to get mad when people used to try me. So I used to just bang out. I used to fight, and I'd be like, yo. And I was always the tallest. I was always tall.
Well, that ever made you insecure, being tall?
Yes. I mean, even now in this industry. In this industry now, I get insecure. I'm 6'5". On my self-tapes, I have to say that I'm 6'4". Just at least try to finesse. But I feel like, especially in this industry, I feel like if you're too short or too tall, like I feel like they like the 5'8" to the 6'2" area. Like they usually look at that because it's like the more average area. So it's like once you're over that, it's like, oh shit, he's too tall.
You're abnormal.
So he's not gonna match up. So, and that's another reason why I feel like I get told no a lot.
What's insane is that you're 6'5" and I'm 5'6", and we have similar insecurities. And what I've learned is that you have to turn that rejection, that underestimation into fuel, to keep doing what you're doing. I mean, when you start, you say you started wearing better clothes and stuff like that. That could be superficial, but it could be the first step towards progress. Right.
Well, you want to be attractive at some point. I was always, I think I was always a handsome kid. I just didn't have the style. But of course, you always want the girls' attention. At one point, you go through these phases that you never like, and then you adapt, and then you grow from it. But then you realize, like, oh man, I got to do this for me to get this. Nah, man.
But you got good style, man. Every time I see you, you always have nice kicks.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it now because I didn't really have that at one point. So once in a while, I'm a lot better now at managing my money. But there was a time where I was just getting ridiculous with it. But now I'm like,
bro, I've never been about that life. I mean, I don't think I'm a person with that it's attracted to style. I try to go. I'm very minimalist at heart, and I don't like logos. I like wearing just plain shirts, something that makes me feel comfortable, fitted, because I have this thing in my mind that if I wear anything baggy, I look shorter than what I am. Even though like that doesn't change
That's
my
how
height.
it was in New York. Everybody like back in the day, people were wearing 6 extra. I was wearing 6 extra large.
Right.
Like, so you're wearing like like double the size that you were.
Right.
And like when you look back, it's like, yo, this shit was ridiculous. I was wearing like baggy ass clothes. I used to wear it because I was always tall. So I'm wearing 6X shirts, and it's like,
wow.
And that was the thing. Like at that time,
do you have a hard time shopping? Like I do.
Oh yeah. So recently, I was having problems like buying jeans, and then out of all places, Old Navy and Gap had like the length that I wanted.
Old Navy is it. That's where I get my
I was
stuff.
like, oh, this is a sleeper. Like people sleeping on this. So I'm like, oh, I gotta go to.
Let me tell you, Target too, man. Got some. I don't know if you've been to Target, but
Nah, I haven't. I don't find a good size. I found a couple blazers like and stuff like that fit good, and I bought from Target. But I heard recently about Old Navy and Gap, so I'm just
that was the same franchise, Old Navy, Gap, and Banana Republic.
Oh, they're all from there.
Yeah, the same franchise.
I didn't know that.
But that's good. But that's good. I mean, we're in constant improvement. We're constantly trying to become better people, and this is an overarching theme with all my conversations. You know, like. We're all so timid. We're also like we all keep our problems to ourselves, and if we all open up, we all realize that we're all in the same place.
Yeah,
like we're all struggling here, and everyone is like dealing with this facade. You know, like everybody puts up a front, and it's like everyone is trying to say, "I'm not hurt. I'm all good. I'm perfect. Check me out." And then social media just promotes that even more. And promotes the fake life, and the ripple effect to that, right? So you have the insecure guy who's like looking at that page, wanting to be like that guy, and now you have 2 insecure guys trying to like match each other. It's insane. It's insane when you need to really get to the core of the problem. Like, you need to take care of that insecurity, you know. And the only way to do it is find a circle of friends that you can trust. Find someone that you can trust. Hey, if you need a shrink, by all means, do it. No shame. Read books, watch motivational videos until you break that pattern, man. Because it's literally a curse to live with that mindset.
Yeah,
and it's such an easy. I wouldn't say it's easy. It's challenging for others, but it's just a switch of mindset. You know, it's like just turning in that negativity into energy, into fire, bro. To just, you know, and I see you doing it. I see you. You're an actor. You're a performer. I've seen your clips. I'm always up to date with what you're doing on social media. And tell me a little bit about your work. What is it that you've done that's really makes you proud of this path of acting that you've taken, and how the future looks like?
I don't know, man. For me, it was just something that I've always wanted to do. First of all, like since I was like 5 years old, this is something I wanted to do. I just got caught into sports because that was one thing that used to just get me away from all the BS. Was like I used to be hardcore into baseball because at one point that was the love of my life. I still got a love there, deeply rooted. You're
Dominican, so it makes sense.
Yes, yeah. So it's like, but lately I'm not like on top of it like I used to, because I don't know if there's I don't want to say there's a bitterness there, like damn I didn't make it, so I don't even want but once in a while I keep up with it. But acting was always something I wanted to do since I was a kid, basically because I just had a strong imagination, you know. And when I remember there was a time where I would watch all these movies and I used to think that was just a whole different world. I didn't know that those people were pretending until my mom told me. So I used to watch all these things like, man, these people got it good, man. Or some people just had sad stories, or like, you know, but I would always you always relate. There was always this emotional attachment I had towards them at a young age. But I'm like, man, this is different. Like, you know, especially the sci-fis. You're like, oh, that's a whole different world. I want to be in that world, you know? Yeah. So I was kind of obsessing over that. And then like I would play outside with my friends and we'll be Power Rangers, do like stuff. And so like one day I remember I had a conversation with my mom, and she was like pretty much telling me like, I was like, man, like those people got it good on the TV, man, like that, you know. And she's like, oh, like no, those are actors. I was like, what's actors? Like, what is that? She's like, oh, those are people that pretend to be somebody else, and like, you know. And I was like, I want to be somebody else. Like I want to
pretend.
Yeah, I want to pretend I want to be a professional pretender.
Yeah.
Or whatnot. And then like, yeah, she was like, yeah, that's what that is. And I was like, man. And from there, it stuck with me subconsciously. It's just that she never had any, because I would tell her, hey, I want to do this, but she didn't know what strings to pull. Like, you know, and don't get me wrong. Granted, we were in one of the hearts, like the cities that it'd be popping at.
Was your mom like an immigrant?
No, my mom was born in Brooklyn. She's a Puerto Rican from Brooklyn.
Okay.
And my dad is more like he's an immigrant. He's from Dominican Republic, from San Pedro Macorís, and he was a former baseball player. He played in the minor leagues under the California Angels, and he was always there. Once he found out I was in love with baseball, that's when me and him connected more.
Yeah.
Because there was always like a language barrier between me and him.
Right.
And that's how we got closer. He used to come see me every Saturday before he found out that I played baseball, and then like he just started coming more often.
And what happened when you gave up baseball?
When I gave up baseball, like
He stopped coming?
That's usually how the story goes, right? That's usually how the story goes right now. No, he's still like my dad's an incredible dude, and I always want to take after like him, like how he is, how he was there. He was always like responsible. I don't have anything bad to say about him. Like I know a lot of people unfortunately didn't have that type of stuff. But he was always there. I lived with him 3 years in the Dominican Republic.
Wow, nice.
Because I remember I didn't have the success in high school that I wanted. I ended up leaving, and he told me, "Hey, just come out to Dominican Republic, and we try to get you signed over here." So I got scouted by teams. I got looked at, but it just didn't go my way. And long story short,
Is that too tall? This guy's too tall.
yeah, too tall. Nah, but people used to be like, "Oh, because I was a first baseman outfielder, and usually guys my size, I was always 6'5". Like by the time I was 15, actually by the time I was 12, I was already 6'5".
Wow.
I remember I prayed to the God that God I didn't want to go 7 feet. That was another thing. People used to say I had giantism disease or something like that. Like I used to hate it. I was like, I don't want to be that tall. Like it's cool, but I wasn't in love with basketball.
Yeah, it must be terrible, like being told that. Dominican Republic, you got scouted and...
Yeah, I got scouted in DR and stuff like that, and I like it got to a point where it was like, all right, this is not going as I thought it would go. So, and then I knew my mom was struggling out here. My mom was a single mom, she was already... We were living in Tampa when I left to go to DR, and while I was in DR, she moved here to Miami. That's how I ended up here. So, I told my dad, I was like, I gotta go. My mom is struggling. I want to go help her out as much as I can. Never had a job before. And the first thing I did was work at a movie theater when I got out here. And
that was a spark?
It was a spark. I mean, I have free tickets. I will watch stuff. And again, there was a connection. There's always a connection when I watch a film. And I always wanted to make people feel the way that the films make me feel.
Right.
And I was fascinated by that. It wasn't about the being in the spotlight or whatever. It was just the art, the artistic way of telling a story and making someone connect to you, through their performance. There was something about that intrigued me so much that I was like, I want to make people feel like this.
That's amazing. Yeah,
I want to make people feel like this. And I was working at a movie theater, and I remember when baseball was done. It was done for me. And I was like, damn, where do I go from here? I mean, I know I got this acting thing I want to do. And you know how it is when you first want to get your feet wet in it, you're scared because like you don't know what to do, and you don't know what strings to pull. I didn't, but thank God at this time, you have Google. This is like 2009-ish, and like that's already like a thing. So I remember one of my managers, he's now a writer. He's also like a big writer out here. His name is Rolando Viñas. I don't know if you guys ever interacted with him or whatever. But he was my manager at the movie theater, and he overheard me speaking with a friend, a coworker. She wanted to be an actor. She's actually in LA right now. I remember she used to tell me, like, we should move to LA together, but like with no resume, nothing.
No
and for some reason with that stuck with me, because I was like, I don't really have any experience to be out there, and I know that's a big pond, and that's crazy because I didn't know anything about anything. So for me to say that already, and I didn't ever I haven't touched the stage or anything like that. That said a lot. And then Rolando overheard me speaking, and I'm a character. I know sometimes I shell myself up, but I could get goofy with it. He saw that there was like a big personality in me. He said, "Hey man, I heard you wanted to do this. You should.
That's great.
I see a future in that for you." I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just like wishful thinking, like type thing, And even then, I don't even know where to go or where to start." And he was like, "Oh, there's a couple places you could go. You could look up. I think you should think about it." But for a while, I would prolong it and procrastinate. And that's like from the year old mark to like the 22-year-old mark, I was procrastinating. But I remember every day I would tell myself, I don't want to keep ripping tickets and waking up and going to the theater. Like there's something about this that doesn't sit right with me. Even though like, yeah, I got an income, I'm not paying rent. I wasn't paying rent, you know?
Or you were getting the bug, that's it. You're getting the...
I was getting the bug, but I was also getting the fact that, man, I feel like I have a greater purpose. Like that, it shouldn't stop here.
Yeah. And so like, how did you get into acting?
So my homegirl Manuela, the one that I used to work at the movie theater with, that we used to talk, she would go to like little student film auditions and she would tell me about them. And I didn't know anything about being in front of people and trying to perform or read a side or whatever. So she said, hey, you should come with me. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, you know what? I should just do it, just to do it. Even if I bomb, I'm going to just go. I'm going to just go because like I want to get the feel of just throwing myself out there, just falling on my face because I knew that was coming. So I would go. I would just go with her and we'd go. And then from there, I was like, like maybe I should keep trying to see. Let me see first to see if it's for me. And then I'll take it from there. If it's not for me, it's not for me. I auditioned for a film in the AI Center, and it was a short film. I got a little speaking role in it. And I remember the guy that was like he was like the boss in the film. It was a comedy. It was kind of like a Jonah Hill. I remember liking the script because I loved Pineapple Express and all those super bad films. Raunchy, yeah. It had that type of vibe, you know. The execution was another thing. But...
student film.
But it's a student film. I mean, some student films are super dope. But it was a good script. I was compelled by it. It didn't matter at that time anyway because you're just trying to get your feet wet. So I remember vibing with this guy. His name was Brett, and he told me about the Miami Acting Studio. He said, "Hey, you know, I could see like you like this stuff, and like me and him would talk, we would network, and that's where the networking thing came into play." So he told me about this place. He said, "You should check it out. Like, you know, see if you like it. There's a free class, whatever." So I went there. I remember sitting there. That was like a week later, because it was a free class. I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go to a free class, see how it is. And then I'm seeing everybody doing improv, and like it's students, like it's filled with people, and I'm in the back. You don't do nothing in the free class. You just get to look, oversee it, see how you like it. I was so intimidated. I was like, man, this is like insane. Like, you know, am I ready for this? Like, you know, everybody's like doing improvs on the fly, like. And then like there was a day. Thankfully that day they do scenes every end of the month. Miami Acting Studio has this thing where they do scenes from movies. Thankfully I chose that day too. So it was the day of that, and then I saw that they had scenes prepared from movies because I guess Ralph does these things. Ralph Kennard, he does these things where he has his students do scenes from films, and I don't know. It was compelling, but I remember after that I got so scared. I was like,
Did you go back?
I prolonged it. Yeah, I ended up going back. So he enrolled me, and then like I finally started going once a week. It was a class like once a week, and then like I started doing it, and it wasn't like the best at first. And shit,
well, that's how everyone starts. I mean, when I started improv, it was scary. It was literally, well, I wouldn't say my introduction to acting, but my introduction to having some form of structured education for acting. So time already flew by. You did your classes, you got your experience, you got your foot in the door. Yeah. What have you done?
Man, to this day, I think one of my biggest moments was being on Tyler Perry Sisters, and then I was on Dynasty on the CW. And it took a while because I started at 23, and now I'm about 32. I don't really like putting my age out there, but hey, you know, it is what it is. Because like sometimes I want to think I'm good enough for those young roles. Yeah. But I don't know. My time is probably. But no, those are the current things I was fortunate enough to be a part of. I play Rico. You know, I was a side dude, but I wanted something more serious with one of the main actresses of the show. And that to me is one of my highlights.
It was a very heavy scene. I saw that scene in on your Instagram, and I'm not gonna say I saw the show, but I saw a good amount of it, and it's pretty heavy. So you brought your A game, man.
Yeah. I made sure. One thing about it was interesting because I do get nervous, but when I was on those sets, mainly Sisters with Tyler Perry, I don't know why. For some reason, I went there like I got something to prove. and I did over prepare, and it didn't like backfire because sometimes they say over preparation could like, you know. But I made sure of that because he shoots very fast. That's just his style. So there was just something about it. Like I was just like, hey, you know, I'm ready. As soon as they call me on that, I'm coming in, like, you know, and I'm gonna come in hot. Because for me, it was like, this is gonna be a big moment on TV, even though this is like a co-star role. It's gonna be like, but it was like 3 minutes of me like going in on this girl, and that was it. And it was a cool moment to this day, you know. And then Dynasty was cool. I was throughout the episode. That was fun to be a part of because Dynasty is a remake of the 1970 show. I think it's 1970, 1971. So those were.
This is where you were like the. Was it? What were you? Like a monk?
Oh, I was. So I was a synergist. A synergist, like a cult. You know, I was a part of a cult, and yeah, like the main characters were coming to save their like stepsister or something like that, and you know, the first person they run into when they come to the place that we were at, they see me. I'm the guy at the gate. So I come to introduce them, and I'm like, you know, like, I don't know, you guys look fishy, but hey, you know, come through.
Yeah. But what was great about those two different things that you've done is like we can see your range and how much you've learned, you know, through all this experience. And what's crazy is how life experience comes into play. Yeah. Like, yeah, you take your acting classes and you know, get over your fears and stuff, but like the baseball thing and the things that you went through in New York and being bullied and made fun of, like all that came to play. Like all that made you, and you brought, man, like an amazing presence.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's still a battle I deal with, but like I you know, I'm getting better every day that goes by. Like it's like I'm me, you know, and that's why I'm a vulnerable person. Like I tend to be very transparent. Sometimes I'm too transparent, but like, you know, I feel like I need to tell that story of me being in special education and stuff, because there's probably a kid like me that thinks, oh, like, you know, maybe I'm not good enough, because there's people in my neighborhood that used to, like, you know, especially my mom's friends, they would, like, behind her back, they would talk, like, and say, oh, like, you know, yeah, he's in special ed, don't worry about him, because I used to be hyper. There was, like, a hyperness to me and stuff, and they used to use that as, like, I'm like, I look back at it, I was like, damn, yeah, that's messed up.
I was just
like,
a kid.
I was just a kid, man, that was hyper, like. But I guess they regulated me to being on the yellow bus. That's like a thing in New York. I don't know if y'all have that here, because people ride the yellow bus here too. But like, I guess it's just to get to school. Yeah. But over there, it's like everybody goes by foot and they take the train. But I was on the yellow bus. You know, I was always the kid. But best believe, you know, every time somebody tried me, I get there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you were 6'5" when you turned 12, so I was like,
no, I was 12. With you. Thank God, but thank God I didn't continue to grow from there. I remember I prayed. I don't want, because I knew deep down I wanted to do this. Yeah. And I knew that I couldn't be 7 foot. You know, you could, but definitely it's gonna be limiting. You know, so I'm already 6'5". Sometimes I already feel like that's limiting enough, but you know. I'm 6'4" though, like, you know. 6'4".
Well, I mean, but the beauty about it, like, I go back to the experiences, because this is what makes you you. Yeah. The beauty about that is that eventually you end up becoming the person that end up saving you and giving you a chance. Yeah. And as an artist, as an actor, that's such a huge thing, because as we mature, this is what I've experienced. In the beginning, you take anything, right? Yeah. You're like, I just want to work. I just want to be on screen. But once you have the opportunity, the maturity, the training, and you start understanding the craft, you start saying, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more picky, because you know what? I want my work to say something. And this is something that we were discussing earlier, that about current films and a lot of modern films in particular, that I'm not really like I don't follow the hype and I don't follow the trend, because a lot of films are pretty much, they don't say nothing. They're just fluff, right? And it's a disservice to society, because these films are not speaking to the audience the way that the films back then spoke to you. You know, so kind of like what you're saying. Like, yeah, it's great for the actor to pick a film that he identifies and he thinks will help people, but at the end of the day, it's the story. You know, it's the story that's really going to resonate, and that's in our power. And like, this is the reason why I'm doing the podcast. This is the reason why we do short films, and we're planning to do things in the future, because eventually, if no one gives us that opportunity, we have to take control, right? We have to grab the bull by the horns and make it happen. Yeah. So what's the future, before we wrap up, what's the future looking like for you?
So obviously we're currently in Miami. I'm planning to move to either Atlanta or LA. Trying to get my feet wet in those those states. Obviously those are bigger cities. That's what I'm looking for. I mean, obviously I've been fortunate enough to audition a lot. So it's one of those things where, hey, at any moment you can hit one of these roles. Yeah, so I'm grateful to be in the rooms right now. I've written a script recently. Harlem's Choice is based on a life experience of mine. I'm hoping to get that going at one point. So I'm just trying to keep busy, man. Any way, shape, or form, by any means, while we wait for these opportunities. Because you can't just wait. You gotta create your own lane as well. And there was a moment where everything was all good. I was like doing a lot of films out here. Things slowed down eventually here, and I'm also like my eye is on like, yeah, I want to be on TV now. I think I'm to a point where I want to start doing that. Of course, I'm still open to doing short films, local, but I'm like you said, I've been more selective, and I like things that are very compelling, and execution means a lot to me, even though that's not my place as an actor to say. But I always want to make sure, like, I do my research on the filmmakers I work with, and that's why I always keep a tight knit group of people that I would work with here locally in Florida, and then also like in the future. But I just like to work too, like.
I mean, yeah, we all like to work.
Yeah, we all.
And I think it's always good because we like we were saying, like, acting is a muscle. Mm-hmm. So some days you won't be doing the impacting film. You're just working it, just exercising it. So, but I think your vision is pretty solid. I think you're a person that's unshakable. Mm-hmm. You obviously have grit, you have drive, you have vision, and with that, bro, I can only see you like in high places, bro. So
we'll see. Just gotta keep at it. Don't give up. I mean, it's to a point where I've gone too far in it to like turn back. So it's one of those things where it's like I just keep going.
I mean, it'll evolve. All of this will evolve. Yeah. I mean, for me at least, I still see acting in my picture in my life, but I see something a little bit more beyond that. I see, for me, my thing is like storytelling, and that could be translated in so many things. It could be, hey, let's write a film, let's direct a film, let's produce a film, let's act in a film, and that's why I'm so driven by listening to people's experiences, sharing my experiences, and because that's what story is all about. At the end of the day, it's like we're not reaching for the masses, but someone here is going to listen in and be like, yo, that's exactly what I needed to start this thing that I wanted to do. It could be acting, filmmaking, whatever, we have so much power in our hands, bro, as artists.
Yeah. And, I'm starting to realize that more and more every day. Yeah. Like, cause I also want to, like I said, I want to write more material for myself for down the line.
Do it.
And yeah. This film, I want to get off the ground though. It should be fun, and that one's like, that's gonna focus on like a Dominican cast and stuff like that. Cause, I was involved. That's another conversation for a different day. But I was involved in gang activity, not crazy, but it's based on that, like how you end up in the wrong. It's one of those things where you end up in the wrong crowd at the wrong time. But nothing crazy happened out of it. But it was a life experience that I really appreciate, and I think I needed to go through.
Right.
But yeah, it was quite a story. So I can't wait to share that with everyone.
Oh, we can't wait to see it come to life.
Yeah, hopefully powerful. Maybe I get you guys on board producing. Hey, I don't know.
I'll be a drug dealer.
We'll see what's going on.
All the stuff that I get anyway.
I thought you were Dominican though when I first met you.
I get either Dominican, Puerto Rican,
and you live in Alapata,
or Venezuela. Yeah, I live in Alapata, which is a neighborhood in Miami. And bro, I'm glad that you're here.
I appreciate you having me, man. Like I was like, man,
you did great. I mean, you opened up.
I gotta come up. I gotta come on, man. I gotta start putting myself out there. I gotta share my story too. We all have a story, so
we all have a story to tell.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me, and God bless.
Hey, peace, everyone.